Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night. Welcome back to Minor League Fights and Insights. We are in episode number 5 so far this season, in season 3 of the show, season 6 of the Minor League. Minor League, yes, that's exactly it. Welcome in, coming to you live from Minnesota. It's getting chilly. The sun is starting to set earlier, and I'm not sure exactly if it's this weekend or what when we get the fallback daylight savings time for those that do that kind of thing. I know Arizona, I don't believe does. Um, so it's a states thing, I guess. Anyways, well, we've got a fun show. I've got here week 4. Can Madison keep it up? They've been on fire so far. And is there anybody that can be that is going to step up and stop them? Perhaps perhaps it might take until week 8. Who knows? Anyways, they've been rocking out on fire so far. And in fact, we've got a special guest here tonight to talk about that too. But before we get to that, you know him, you love him. Welcome, Daniel Wright, my right hand man. How are you, my right hand
Hi,
man?
everyone. Talking about being tired and cold. Up in Canada, it's very cold right now as we speak. So, yeah, last weekend was very good for football all around, I think. And some good games, and we'll talk a bit more about them. But overall, I'm doing good. I got probably some eye bags, from all the work I'm doing in school. Found out this week I got 6 assignments due next week, so that's fun. So
Good luck with that.
we'll have fun with that.
And back by popular demand, we've got Nicholas Frosso. Good evening, Nicholas. How are you?
Doing pretty good.
That is good to hear. Good to
Yeah,
hear.
I'm in. Just by the way, I'm in New England, and it's been like 70 degrees, so that's pretty good.
That's a nice balmy. That's shorts weather where I come from. Definitely
Nice.
flip flop weather. Cool. So yeah, let me pop over here. We've got one of our first minor league interviews. That is not Nicholas that he was came on, jumped in, did the interview, but also is on the panel last week. But tonight we've got um, quarterback for the Madison Lynx. Switch Thumper is on the line with us. Switch, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me, Axel. Thank you to the panel.
Absolutely. Great to have you here. So yeah, we'll just start off. We want to have a little conversation. So tell us a little bit about who is Switch Thumper. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Switch Thumper is a kid off the streets of Philadelphia. His cousin Wayne Thumper was a SFLM linebacker. He tragically passed due to unforeseen events, and Switch is carrying the family name. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So yeah, how's your journey been so far in the minor league? You came in. Tell us a little bit about what your journey's been like so far.
Um, I did start last season like really late in the playoffs as a
Okay.
linebacker. But soon as I was able to switch positions, I decided to go over to quarterback. Hopefully lead a team to a championship, a minor league championship. And it's been great all the way along. Everyone's been really nice, really accepting. I've gotten a lot of pointers, a lot of tips, a lot of mentorship from older members. It's great. It's been really fun.
That is great to hear. Curious if you had to pick one sort of special moment for yourself so far in your experience. What would be that one moment that really stands out as something that's very memorable for you?
As a special moment, I would have to say throwing for 72 passes, just because I have a feeling that's probably a record. Just being able to throw that many, I know my arm hurt the next
Big old bags of ice sitting in the tub.
day. Without a doubt, without a
Wow.
doubt.
So curious. So coming up from Madison, I was there both last season and the season before in the locker room and things. How has the locker room experience been for you so far in Madison?
It's been absolutely terrific. We have, first of all, a great group of guys that all do their progressions, all work hard, all always got each other's backs. Like never coming at one person's like neck or anything like that. Always lifting each other up, and we are led by, in my opinion, the best coach in the SFLM, Michael Prococo, and he has game planned amazingly every single game, putting us in positions to be able to execute and win games.
Very cool. So what are you hoping to accomplish so far? That Madison is 3-0. That's a great start. Most teams, I wish that they could go start off that way. Do you think it's going to continue? And what are you hoping to accomplish so far, or what do you hope to accomplish this season, as a player and maybe as a team?
You know, I want to start off as a team. We're hoping to win the championship without a doubt. There's no lower expectation than that. It's getting to the top of the mountain. As a player, really, I don't have many expectations other than being able to talk and get to know everyone around the league. I could go for the rest of the season having the worst stats out of any player, and it wouldn't really bother me as long as people know that I'm here for the right reasons. I'm here to lift people up, to lift other players up, to give advice, to take advice. The stats are nice and all, but what really matters is the interpersonal relationships that are created.
Yeah. And let's see. If you had to describe your ideal pro locker room or pro team, what would that pro team be like? What would the culture be like that you're looking to join, potentially after that you'd be maybe drafted to?
Uh, it could be any type of system. That doesn't really matter to me. I could be handing it off 70 times a game. I could be throwing it 70 times a game. What I'm hoping for is a team that's really close knit, that always got each other's backs, is always lifting the other player up, always making sure that their teammate knows that, hey, we're here with you. Because honestly, as long as that is in place, the wins will come. With time and with work, they will come. But it's very difficult to get that type of that team camaraderie in there if people are you know seeing competition between each other. It's always going to be a team game, and we're always going to have to work hard together to be able to get to that one goal.
Yeah, you don't want to have to be beating yourself before you even beat your opponent, right?
Exactly.
That is awesome. Daniel, do you have any questions for Switch?
Yes, Switch. Way to go last week. A very close game, probably the closest you guys had against Ottawa, but it was still a win. You guys are undefeated. Congratulations on that. As you might know,
Thank
the
you.
pros itself, there's a lot of movement going in quarterback position as of right now with free agency come around. So I'm just going to let the floor be yours. You speak because there's going to be owners watching this. Why should they take a chance on you come the draft time?
uh I think that I can really add to a team outside of on the field play is I can make sure that I will be a leader of a team. I will always make sure that I'm there for everyone, whether that be about the league or even outside of the league. I've said it anytime I've joined a chat. Like, if anyone needs to talk about anything that's just going through their lives, I'm here to listen because, yeah, the league is very fun. It's great. We love watching. We love, partaking in it. But, it's never forget that, like, each of us do have our own lives outside of it. And a lot of times, some of us might feel like things are getting stressful, things are getting hard, and we don't have anyone to like be able to just, say some things to. So just to be able to get something off our back, off our chest. And I think that's really important for not just teammates, but even if you're my counterpart, even if you're on another
Yep.
team, like don't feel like you can't talk to anyone. Like there's always someone here to talk to, and if there's no one else, then you got switch. And I think that you know, I think that's a really important thing for anyone to remember, and that's really what I can bring to a franchise. I will be there. I will be happily there to help anyone and uplift not only my teammates but anyone in the league.
Awesome. So I've got a write-in question for you from Eddie Gage over at Arizona. He's wondering if you'd be willing to sit on the bench behind Ashley for a season or two. What is your thoughts on that?
You know, I have no problem taking any role on any team, honestly. And then even if I have to sit, I'm sure maybe possibly depending on how they do it next year, I may be able to get a two-way, so I would have no problem with that. I mean, look at Aaron Rodgers. He had to sit behind Brett for 2 years. So
Right.
any path that is set in front of me, I'm willing to take.
Awesome. Cool. Any final words that you might have? Oh, actually, Nicholas, do you have any questions for Switch?
I mean, the one I can think of should be relatively easy, but who knows? Um, I guess my question would be: would you rather be on a team that wins the championship that isn't really chatty and you don't really like that much, or would you rather be on a team that is actually losing but is just a fun place to be?
You know, honestly, like the winning, whatever. There's a next season, but I'd love to be in a organization or a team that like, has that culture of being able to, yeah, talk to each other, have fun, joke around. That sounds like a great thing because that way, like the wins will come at one point. You will be able to win if you do everything correctly. But I would love to be able to just have teammates that I can, chat with, talk with, mess around with. But I don't think there's really many teams in the league, not that I know of, that don't have, a fairly good culture. Like I don't think anyone dislikes anyone else and of course sometimes, it's okay if you can't always be in the chat because, life happens. You're gonna have things outside of it. But to me, winning does matter, but I always think camaraderie is number one.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the. I'd rather be on a team with players I'd rather lose with than be on a team that with players that I wouldn't even want to win with. I don't know if
Yeah,
that makes sense, but
absolutely.
something like that.
No, I know exactly what you're saying. That's
Cool,
great.
cool. Any questions for us at all? Or any final words that you'd like to share with anybody watching?
Um, well, here's a question. Who do you guys think is gonna win the SFLM championship? A
I
little
mean, right?
early, but
Yeah, I mean, so far, again, Madison is looking really, really good. And they don't have a lot of two ways, so each of their players is progressing. And I think Michael Brown, who just sort of showed up in the chat now, I think he's been will be a week over week will be another asset for them, which is scary. But in general, I think there's a lot of opportunity out there, and it's still really early. Like you said, we're 3 weeks in. Um, After this next week, we'll be halfway to the championship or halfway to the playoffs. Um,
right.
so, Daniel, do you have any thoughts?
No,
Do you have any? Who did you pick when we did the two way too early pick 'em thing?
Oh, I didn't actually pick.
Oh, okay.
Believe it or not, I forgot because I was too busy to study. But I wasn't gonna pick Lincoln. I think I was gonna pick Tacoma. But as of right now, I think San Jose is probably the dark horse to get in and maybe make a good run. I like San
Mhm.
Jose's team a whole lot as a group.
Yeah. And Nicholas, do you have any thoughts? San Jose for you too?
I would. I mean, we get that train rolling. We started kind of slow. We're moving forward. I'm gonna pick Annapolis just because I feel bad. So I feel like someone has to throw them some love. So I'm gonna pick Annapolis.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to some more chatting about these teams both last weekend and up this coming Friday a little bit in just a minute or two. But in general, Switch, thank you so much for coming. I know you're interested in joining the panel. I think we're talking about having you on, just like Nicholas is this week on the panel next week. So I'm excited for that. So those that haven't had enough of their Switch Thumper, you get a double dose next week. But
yep.
yeah, thanks
Thank you.
so much.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Hopefully I am here next week. Uh, Shout out to Madison. Links up. San Jose. You know, big respect for you guys, but we're.
That's it. Throw them off.
He's done. Get him out of here.
All
So
right,
that
fellas.
brings us
Have a good
then.
night.
Thanks. So that brings us to last week's games. Those, as we were talking, I honestly thought the Madison Ottawa game was going to be higher numbers, putting up, teens, 20s, even knocking on the door of 30s. So I was actually surprised at this outcome in the slowness of it, I guess you could say. But it was a very defensive heavy game last week. Nicholas, did you want to give us a little breakdown? What are your thoughts on how this game played out?
So I could see how it would be a little bit slower because you kind of think that they're both high-powered offenses, but you do have to look at it. They do have like lower tier quarterbacks that have been playing kind of above their level, which is good. But they both kind of win against really good defenses. I mean, you have Llama there, um, you have like Nano. Is that Nano? You have a bunch of good players in the backfield. So it wasn't as surprising as I thought to see it a lower scoring game, but as usual, it was fun to watch.
Definitely. Daniel, what are your thoughts on the Madison Ottawa game?
Well, like Nicholas was saying, offenses kind of fell back to earth. Swiss Thumper, who was just here, we'll speak a little about him. 20 for 46, so good completion, not the best. We've seen better. But 306 yards, but 155 of them went to Ron Haynes. Haynes had another good week.
He had a good first play.
That's true. He only caught 6 passes, so I mean, 155 with 6 passes is pretty darn good.
Definitely. And that was one thing too. Madison didn't like run away with this, and really it was Ottawa's was really close knocking on the door to taking the lead. You know, could have gotten that extra touchdown at the end, and Madison just sort of stole it away, and that was the sort of the last little minutes of the game there. So it wasn't like a runaway win either for Madison. I think they had their game plan. I think it played out just enough in their favor that they took that. Let's move on to game number 2. San Jose was visiting Lexington, and San Jose 21-10 took that win. Nicholas, we'll start with you again. Tell us a little bit about this game.
I thought it was really good. I mean, obviously, I'm from San Jose, so I was very happy with it. I think the defense played really well. I think we used Blanco very well again, and Bacon didn't get injured this time. He didn't fracture his arm, so we got to use him through the whole game. Although Hormel did well backing up, even though he's just I don't know what you call that.
A generic,
a generic backup player.
Generic backup. So yeah, I mean, I was a little scared because Lexington is a good team, but it was nice to see us kind of just move ahead and kind of stride forward like we had been the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I also say I feel like Van Dam was a big part of some of that running game too, mixing it up, getting some of that low yardage. And I almost want to say that Van Dam may have even had one of the touchdowns in that game. Maybe I was mistaken, but I feel like his name came up a couple times during it, which was exciting. Daniel, What was your thoughts on how that game played out?
Well, when you got a rookie quarterback and you only allow him to throw 23 times and still get 21 points, you're in a very good position. That's what I think, personally. Yeah. 29 runs with J.Z. Bacon, 128 yards. Can't get much better than that on a night. On the other side for Lexington, they played pretty okay. They had trouble in the quarterback position the most. 2 interceptions and 3 sacks. You couldn't really keep him around or keep him going, right? Keep that momentum. Mm-hmm. It was all defense all the time going against them.
What was Sean Sanders? I know he bright shining star, but
16 carries for only 39 yards.
Ooh, that's that. So San Jose defense really putting in the work last game, it seems. So
yeah, I think a lot of that too was that's the hard part too, because when we voted for that top 10, for an example, a lot of defensive and offensive lines kind of, you don't see what they're doing as much. And I think Mojo, he did a really great job that game, and he was one of the reasons that we only gave up that many yards for rushing. So I think we need to start seeing that a little bit more, seeing all the tackles that they're getting and all the, like in the first game we had Thump who just murdered someone at the line, so they didn't score a touchdown. So it's good to see that happening.
Yeah. All right, so game number 3, we saw Albuquerque coming into Lincoln, and Albuquerque, if I remember right, sort of held on. Lincoln mounted a comeback in the second half, but didn't quite have enough time, didn't have enough steam to get it accomplished. And Albuquerque, even after putting up 31 points, still, lucky, crossing their fingers that they were able to walk away with that thing. Daniel, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts on how this game played out?
Well, you were 100% correct. First half was all Albuquerque, and then Lincoln slowly made their climb. I'm going to look at Josh Slap, because Slap is aggressive on Twitter, saying that we haven't spoken about him before. And the very first week when we talked about players to watch, So Slap, I'm doing a little shout out to you, buddy. 27 carries for 170 yards and 1 TD. But on
That's
the other side,
okay.
I talk a lot about Logan Lee not doing too well,
Uh-huh.
but he also went 143 yards for 19 carries. So I mean, for animations and non-animations, it was roughly the same, right?
Interesting. Yeah. And yeah, Josh Slapp is a copper player right now. So, you know, not even like a color. but going up to against the gold, like again, it's all, the offensive scheming and who with the defense that you're going up against. Definitely. That's exciting to hear. You said 27 carries for Slap. Is that right?
Yes, 27 carries, 170 yards.
That is pretty crazy. And Nicholas, what are your thoughts on how this game played out?
I was really surprised. I think my pick was for Albuquerque to kind of run away with it, and they were looking like they were doing that at the half, but Lexington kind of pulled through, or Lincoln. So I was a little bit surprised. I was surprised they held on so well and they were able to kind of push through. But it was a really fun game to watch.
Very cool. So then game 4, we saw Annapolis heading into Washington, Tacoma, to take them on. And this one was an interesting. It was an interesting game. Daniel, I'll let you take it from there.
Well, I'm going to say it again. I think I might have jinxed someone getting injured in that game, and I apologize to Lili Nakai, who got injured once again in the Tacoma game, and I feel so bad because poor Lili can't catch a break out there on the field. But Rob Hunt came out to play. 11 catches, 149 yards. Without Lili, it was Rob Hunt had to play, and he really did. The surprising thing on Gene Struther's side for the Navigators, he was about 50% completion, which is not what we usually expect from Gene. Gene's usually a good completion guy. 18 for 34, not that good in my retrospect for what he could be as a third-year player, I believe, at this point.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it seems like Annapolis's defense came out to play. Which, looking at so far their stats in general, their defense is not terrible. Like they have a pretty strong defense. It's that offense that just isn't getting going out there. And again, I feel like they've got their two ways out there. Shanahan and another one. No, it's just Ronnie Shanahan. But yeah, so yeah, I'm surprised. It's a matter of time. I feel like I think Annapolis is due. Nicholas, you were saying like wanting to pick them as a way to not feel left out, but I think their time will be due. I think they'll come against a team that they'll be able to take down so far. Nicholas, what are your thoughts on how this game played out?
Yeah, I thought Tacoma actually played better than the score showed. I thought the receivers and the running backs did really well, and along with King. So I think they're poised to do. I know I picked in Annapolis, but I think they're poised to do a little bit better going forward than maybe Annapolis is. Because I don't think that game was as close as the score said.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, Annapolis might be simply trying to find their identity of what's going to work, and they just haven't found that yet against the right opponent either. So
But Grant Jr. did look really good, so that's a saving grace for them. So if they can work that in a little bit more, maybe get some more short passes, and so Grant gets hidden a little bit more,
mm-hmm.
that could really work out for them.
Really open up that, because again, 3, 4, 5 yards down with a screen on the side of the field is just as good as a 3, 4, 5 yard run as well. So it's like you got to take what they give you sometimes. So all right, well that wraps up the games last Friday. So that brings us to games in 2 days. So that will be all right. So game number 1 coming up on Friday. We will be seeing Lincoln coming into Lexington, the 2 L's, the battle of the 2 L's. Yeah, we'll see Kenny Slider, Logan Lee out there. We'll see how well he does against this defense and this offense headed up by Chad Moore. Daniel, do you have any thoughts on how this game might break down?
Well, I'm a big Mike All fan, but something's just not gelling right with the Rattlesnakes. They had good offense with Logan Lee, but it took them a whole half to get going. They were a bit slow off the jump. if they were even in it a little bit in the first half, that game changes completely.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping they get it together on offense. Kenny Slater got to play better. Logan Lee is finally getting into a rhythm, which is nice. But with Lexington and how they play, it's going to be a hard nosed fight, and I think that just makes it Lexington's game to win.
Hmm. And I have the stats thing pulled up over here for the teams. Um, and for Lexington, their points against are averaging 26.33 points against them per game so far, which is pretty significant. The only team that has higher level is Albuquerque with 27 points against, but Albuquerque's points for that they've been able to get are 30. So they've been able to outscore their than what their defense has been able to held them back against. But so that offense just underperforming and their defense isn't able to hold the games together so far historically, last 3 games, right? Nicholas, what are your thoughts on how this game might play out in your mind?
I think this one is going to be a pretty close game. Um, I feel that Lincoln hasn't been playing as well, but I feel like if for an example, what he said, like Slider, Lee, they can pop off. So if they do, then they have a good chance against Lexington. So it's really up to, I think, those two specifically, if they can actually hold their own with Lexington. I would probably give Lexington the edge because I do like Sanders. I like Swayze. I like all them. So I would give the edge to Lexington in this matchup.
All right. So you're going Lexington. Do you have a breakout player who you think might have a solid game? Do you think it's going to be, Slider or Lee or Sanders?
I think it's going to be Sanders. I like him a lot, and I think he's been running really well. Even if he doesn't have the greatest games, he just I think they're using him well. So I would pick him to be kind of the breakout for this game.
Okay. And Daniel, your thoughts on who might take away the W on this one?
Well, I'm leaning the Miners' way as well. Sanders is a good shout, especially after last week of seeing how Slap did against this defense. So it's kind of going to be, might even be the same kind of style, right?
Mm-hmm.
For on the defensive side for the Miners, I think we're going to give Juke and Rukin Jr. a shout out because he's doing such great work behind the scenes and with everything. And, he got a great name.
For me, I think this might be the game that Lincoln starts to make that curve back into the groove. That's my thought. Again, I think they might be able to run it pretty nicely against the Lexington Miners, and that might be enough to get Kenny Slider, the space, the time that he needs to get things going through the air. It's going to be a close one. I think this might be a higher scoring game. So I personally am going to go Lincoln Rattlesnakes. And I think Kenny Slider's going to have a big game. So that's my thoughts. Okay. So next one, let's bring that back. So we see Madison on game 2, so 6:45 Eastern on SFL YouTube. Madison heading west to San Jose to take on the flight there. Switch Thumper's been doing great. Austin Blanco's been doing really superb as well. Daniel, what's your take on how this game might play out?
Well, I have a feeling I know how Nicholas feels about this game, so I'm just gonna try and lean the other way. So we're a little, we got a little split down the middle in the way of how everything goes. Swiss Thumper is a really good quarterback. He struggled a little bit against Ottawa defense, but Ottawa's defense is really, really good. San Jose's defense also a good defense, but I think Switch turns it around. We're gonna have a really good performance by Prince Wonder this time instead of just going with Ron Hayes. Prince Wonder's gonna come back in the action. Madison ekes this one out just by a bit.
And Nicholas, your thoughts?
I think this is going to be the game of the week. So the reason I think that is not because I'm biased, but so Madison, I feel, has a really great offense, and I feel like San Jose has a really great defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how myself, Blotner, and Moore handle Prince and Lewis, and also on the flip side, Blanco's pretty fresh. I'm scared of Llama. Llama's spit, and I don't like that. And he's a scary guy to have back there. And their defense is nothing to sneeze at. Also, like you said. So I think it's going to be the game of the week because I think it's gonna possibly go back and forth. But I our coaches are great in San Jose, and I think they're going to game plan really well. So that's going to give us the best shot. But Madison could win it if they play well. I mean, they have a good chance. It's really going to be up to our defense, I think.
So you're for you kind of balanced, still up in the air, but you're leaning your team, I assume.
Yeah, I would lean our team because I know our coaching, and I
Yeah.
think they have a great game plan. But I think this is going to be another close game. But I can't decide whether it's going to be a high scoring game or not. I hope it's not because I'm on the defense, but it's going to be an interesting game. That's why I say it's game of the week in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Do you have a standout player you think might take home the player of the game?
For San Jose, I'd say Mojo McClain.
Okay.
I think if we can kind of tamper down Thumper a lot, it's going to be up to Brown, and Mojo's kind of back there just kind of holding down the field, and he's getting a lot of tackles. On the Madison side, let's see. I mean, Llama could have an amazing game just because Blanco's so fresh, and if depending on how much we throw, if we try to work in the tight end or the running back coming out of the backfield, or even the receivers a little bit more because Anderson's been playing a lot better for our wide receivers, so Llama has a chance to have another amazing game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those free safeties can swing on down and Daniel, you're like salivating when you see that ball up in the air, like my ball, my ball.
Well, like everybody says, I'm a great tipper for a reason, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree. I think, knowing that Ron Haynes is, their receiving bell cow. Again, they had both teams last week, Ottawa and Madison had problems getting that ball into the hands of the receiver and for it to stay there. There's a lot of drop passes, even including, I think, from Prince Wonder as well. So, knowing that, Ron Haynes, solid receiver out there, good hands. But yeah, Nicholas, just like you, I'm thinking Mojo McClain and Stan Diamond might have some. If they can do a good job of shutting Ron Haynes down, some of those deep post passes or corner passes from him, it might be the way that might be how the game can be won, I guess. So I could see. To me, it's too close to call for this one. But I think Stan Diamond and Mojo McClain will have a lot of pass deflections, and perhaps some tackling of if they put Brown out in some screens or run him up the middle. I think that might be where he gets shut down. So I'm not putting a W or an L on either of these, but I think Mojo and Diamond.
Yeah, I think the hard part for me is I feel like we have a really great defense and we've been playing really well. I don't see any weaknesses in our defense yet. If anybody can find a weakness, I feel like it might be Madison. So that's what scares me a little bit about this game. But I'm rooting for San Jose. So
there you go. So you heard it. Probably the likely game of the week right there. Game number 2 to watch. Game number 3, we see Canadian Ottawa heading over on the Pacific Northwest to Tacoma to take on King Jackson and his crew. We saw Lakeman was decent last game. He's been playing I'd say above his value for the majority of the time. I'm not sure how this one might play out though. I know Tacoma has a pretty decent backfield and with Modano and Clay out there. Daniel, how'd you break this game down?
I break this game down like I break down every Tacoma game every week. It feels like this season. The offense got to perform. Like their games are close, but it's not high scoring games. Like the last game was 13-7. Like it could have went either way, wasn't it? At the end, right? So Tacoma's offense got to get together. Their defense is good. Their defense is keeping them in games. Legally got to stop getting hurt. If the offense comes out and shows out that what they can do, what they look like they can do, what their stat line says they can do, what their stats say they can do, they will perform. But Ottawa, I can't say anything about Ottawa, man. Ottawa just kept it up with Madison last week. So it's Ottawa's game to win, I think. Ottawa has the best chance of coming out with the W and even doing it while away.
Yeah. So far, they've had the best defense out there in keeping their opponents to very low scoring games, taking away those balls. Their offense hasn't clicked yet to run away with the game, so they're just barely able to stay into them. It seems. Nicholas, what are your thoughts on how this game matchup might go?
Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit towards Ottawa also. For Tacoma, though, I think this is one of their. To, I know they just got out of their rep by winning their last game, so if they're going to win another game, this is probably one of their better matchups to meet up against because they're very similar teams where they don't really have a high flying offense yet. It hasn't like kind of evolved into a great offense, and their defenses are relatively good. So it's kind of like this, almost like the same team playing the same. It's like you played like the Patriots versus the Patriots. It's like they're they're playing the same team. So I do give the edge to Ottawa a little bit, but this is another one. I feel like they're all going to be close games this week.
Yeah, it's an interesting. Not my bet is again might be a repeat of what last week's Ottawa Madison game was like, very low scoring, and see who can eke out the most offensive points out there between the two of them. Yeah, Tacoma itself hasn't been the most scoring team at all either. So, and their defense has held to 15 points compared to Ottawa's 12 points per game. So again, both very stingy defenses, offenses that underperform, and so we'll see how they can if one of these is going to turn a corner for the rest of the season. If it's going to be Ottawa to hold on to that 2-1, making it 3-1 in a big chase, after Madison, or if Tacoma is going to be like this is our refresh, our reset out there. Nicholas, did you said you're giving the edge to Ottawa?
Yeah, and I think anybody can have a star play, but I feel like the star player has with either of these teams has to come from the offense.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's King or Lakeman, or if it's Sams or Elliott. I do like both the running backs a lot. So it's got to be someone from the offense that's going to step up. I'm not sure who it's going to be.
And it's funny, it literally could be one play too, one big breakout play that makes that one star, that one offensive player a star. Daniel, it looks like you might be wanting to share something.
Well, I'm just gonna piggyback a little bit. Offense is the key here, right? Because both defenses we know can play well. So it's whoever can get their offense going will win the game. I feel like I don't want to curse this person because they get injured every week, but I'm gonna do it. The curse isn't real. There's no curse when I do stuff. Legally, you're gonna have game of the week. There you go.
Excellent. And are you going Tacoma for this one, or do you think Ottawa?
If Ottawa plays their game plan, they're winning away. But if Tacoma's offense can perform, Tacoma will take the game.
Gotcha. So it's just a matter of who's able to break out offensively.
Yeah. I'm leaning Ottawa. I don't feel that bad because I'm Canadian, so I don't feel that bad with it. But the Tacoma in me wants them to win.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on to game number 3 here. Oh, no, 4. Game number 4. Annapolis at Albuquerque. A little, I was going to say south of the border. That is not south of the border. So we've got, again, Gene Struthers, who's been, last week struggled with around 50% completion percentage. Type attack and Josh Slapp both had a good first half last game. Nicholas, what are your thoughts on how this game might play out?
So I want to say it's going to be a blowout with Albuquerque winning, but I said that last week and it didn't really come to fruition. If Annapolis is going to stay in it, Grant's going to play just like he did last week. His running was really good. Same thing with Slapp, but if Annapolis is going to win, it's probably going to be Grant, unless Struthers kind of pulls up and plays like the silver that he's destined to be. But yeah, I think it's Albuquerque.
And Daniel, what are your thoughts?
Well, he won't say blowout, but I will. Albuquerque Adams in a blowout.
You think so?
Navigators just can't get it going this season. I don't know what's up. I think, like I said before, there's something missing in that team, right? They're not the same team that we know them to be. It turns out their offense is not the same. Without deep threat Darby and the rest of them, Gene Stores just can't seem to get it going. So I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be Adams' way. And Ty, good luck to you. Keep flinging the ball.
I'm thinking it might be closer than you two might suspect, and I don't know why. I feel that I think you're right. I think Albuquerque will win, and I think it will be more on the play of their defense because I think Annapolis. I think their offense is gonna come out this week. I think that's my again gut. I have no idea. Pulling at straws, using my crystal ball, whatever you want to say. But I think Albuquerque Adams defense is going to be the thing that keeps them in the game. But I think that Annapolis will be getting some points, so they'll look like a slightly different team. I think so. Anyways, that's pretty cool. I think Gino McFly might have a pretty good game with some tackles and maybe some TFLs against Josh Slapp. But I think Josh Slapp will have, I don't think he'll have the 170 or so yards that he might have before, but probably pushing 100. But we'll see. I think that's the fun of this is you never know what you're going to get exactly. So.
Yeah, I think I was going to say the other point too is I don't think, I mean, just by looking at it, it doesn't appear that Annapolis has a lot of two-way players. And I just looked really quick and they didn't miss any progressions this week. So at some point, will their stats allow them to gel a little bit better? I mean, they have hope. They have hope.
Cool. All right. Yeah, I think that sort of does it for our, any topics, Daniel, any gear grinding you got at all?
I don't have too much to gear grinding this week, but I'm going to mention something because I feel like Hacker always tells us to mention this at some point, and he hasn't told us yet this time. But guys, if you want to show that you love being part of the Simulation Football League at any point in time, stats. We all need stats on the crew. Every team, even pros or minors, needs to do a certain amount of games in order for stats, in order to keep your, let's say, roster in the pros at least, keep your roster how it should be, size or management. So every position or every team requires stats to be done, and they're always looking for stats, guys. So please take the time to learn. Contact Stephen Hacker or any of the stat analyst crew to give them a chance to give it up. Any team will love to have you up there to teach you the ropes, show you how to go through the motions in the pros, and it's very good experience. So this is my little chant for stats. Also broadcasting. We have our own Mickey Malello who did broadcasting just this season. So they're always looking for people doing broadcast analyst work.
Yep. And for that one, I'll reach out to white-haired Curtis, who's Skippy Curtis's partner in crime. And let's see. Yeah. Any other things? I think that might be it then.
You want me to go on another spiel? I can go on another one.
Do you have another one? Do you have another topic?
Let's see. Even though the season's over, guys, now is the time to actually take your chance to look at the owner, see what position you might want to fill on a certain team. Free agency is flying around right now. There's like a lot of positions that are a little iffy on who's going where. A lot of teams are changing, evolving, as we say, as we get into the next season. So if you see, I know usually in the minor league, someone usually posts what team needs what. I believe Mike Ryan over in Louisiana usually posts, has a, what's it called now? My mom.
The off-season hub type of
there
thing.
There you go. The off-season hub. There you go. So he usually fills out who goes where in free agency and what spot teams will need filled. So if you get a chance to look at that and see that you are in a position that they need, don't be afraid to contact them. Teams aren't going to contact you first generally unless they really need a spot filled. You go ahead and you go and message them. You do the work and show them that you want to be on this team. You call them and that will put a good say or a check mark in your book for when they come down and do their draft board. So take the opportunity, get to know the owners, get to know everybody you can, because we're not going to bite you. I don't have enough teeth to bite at this point, but we're all here, we're all doing the same thing, we're all having fun in the end.
Mm-hmm. I'll also mention, so we are, it's the 2nd, to November 2nd. We are a month and a half away from the championships and the draft. I think that's happening 16th and 17th of December. We're getting pretty close towards the, getting inching our way there. And knowing that the draft happens there, backing up, we've got so some more dates. I don't have the official dates, but likely like around December 1st, December 2nd, there might be the opening of re-signing for pros. So that's when you'll start to see the teams start to re-sign, because you only get 1-year contracts. That's built into the pros. So you'll start to see who's re-signing for which teams and what their gaps might be. And then after, I think it's a week or maybe 2 weeks, probably likely 1 week of re-signing. Whoa, moving my camera. Then you'll see the free agency signing. So then you'll see players starting to move team to team. And then after that, that's when the draft happens. You'll see then the spots. And again, that will be in the hub. And there'll also be in the portal transactions page. So when you do see someone sign, their name will come up and it'll be like so-and-so signed with so-and-so kind of thing in there. So that whole, come after Thanksgiving, that will be all of a sudden things will be starting to flow, and you get to see what teams might be needing which positions and things. And if you don't already know at that point, that by then, I don't know if it'd be too late. I don't think it's too late per se, but I think start to build your networks and reach out in the next couple weeks so that by that time comes, your name is already on the lips of the people of a variety of GMs that might be looking for different positions. So. Another thing I'd love to mention is the Wednesday show before Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving is usually on a Thursday. The Wednesday before that, the 23rd, I think it is, we'll be opening up voting for what will be the 3rd annual SFLM Prospect Bowl. And so that's a voted on by the community, top players in each at each position, and we divide up the minor league into East and West teams. So we've got Tacoma, San Jose, Albuquerque, and potentially another one. I can't remember which one. That might be Lincoln. And then we've got Annapolis, the East Side division, and we slice that. You get to pick who you think deserves to be kind of like a Pro Bowl kind of aspect. We call it the Prospect Bowl because even though you guys aren't rookies because you're more of a prospect, and then you get into your rookie season once you get drafted, kind of thing. So that's what we call it. That I'll be hosting here as part of the show, and so that we have about a week and a half of voting. November 23rd to December 2nd, voting closes. I'll build out the rosters, and we'll be then hosting the Prospect Bowl on December 8th. Heading into the championship week as part of that, as sort of much like you would have with like the Super Bowl, you've got the Pro Bowl, sort of conjoined to that as well. So that's something to look forward to. And, we're 3 weeks away from voting when voting starts. So again, doing what you're doing, getting yourselves out there, getting your names out there. The more visible you are, the more visible you are on the field as well as off the field. Just boosts your rank in people might be voting for you more. You could be shaking trees, going door to door, kissing babies, all that stuff to get votes as well. So that's something to look forward to next month, or later on in this month and next month as well. So lots of fun things in store this season. So, well, is it that time? Is it time to make the little switch over?
Can I
Perhaps?
ask a
Absolutely.
minor league question?
You can.
So I'm one of the minor leaguers. So I have a question. So if re-signing is like a week period, right?
Mhm.
How come? Because I don't know this myself. So how come someone like yourself you're on Minnesota? I'm assuming
Me?
your player.
Yes. Yep.
So how come someone like yourself, if it's 1 year contracts, how come someone like yourself is on Minnesota, and then someone like I think Skinny Washington, how come he's a free agent?
So you can
Uh,
be cleared for free agency as soon as the season ends, but sign-in periods for that doesn't happen until later on. So that's why he's a free agent now. He decided that he doesn't want to play with that team anymore.
So that was him. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ultimately, when your season ends, every player, I guess the only exception is ultimately because I own Minnesota, I can't play for any other team. So it's likely that I'm going to be resigning from my own team or else I'd be dropping my player, which could be a
I
possibility.
tried to get out. They said I couldn't, so I'm stuck.
But ultimately, that's the thing, and there might be a dozen more players that still have their color, might be in the team locker room that might plan still on going free agency. They just it's up to you to request and say, yep, I'm going to leave my locker room and ask the deputy commissioner to remove myself from the locker room, give me the free agency symbol so I can market myself and saying I'm actually leaving that. Where there may be other players that are like, I'm testing it and therefore maybe not, or maybe they're exploring it behind the scenes and they haven't let their team know a commitment either way. But again, a lot of team commitment happens, in week 10, week 8, week 10 and beyond, starting to test the waters. Hey, what is your thoughts on season 20 next season? You know what I mean? So that's sort of how that works. If that helps, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Cool.
Actually, I have one more question. It's not a
Absolutely.
question, but I never heard the Prospect Bowl described. I heard of it, but that sounds really cool. Uh, so another thing that might be kind of cool is I don't know how many stadiums we utilize in the game. Um, so maybe there are some that we don't even play in. So I wonder if it'd be kind of fun to also vote on like what's because you never play at your home stadium in a super in like you play in Hawaii for the Pro Bowl or you're playing a random stadium for the Super Bowl. I wonder if we could vote on like what stadium to play in.
I historically the last two games, and again, this is all sort of role playing. The idea that um, the West Coast division headquarters is headquartered in Sacramento, so that's where we played the first season or first Prospect Bowl. The East Coast is housed in Boston, so that's where we played, I believe, last season. And so this we probably I don't know, maybe we'll do a flyover zone place in the middle, maybe in Chicago, at a stadium there that we'll rent out and use for the Pro Bowl, Prospect Bowl. But yeah, I mean that's maybe we'll go somewhere fancier. Tokyo. Maybe we'll go to Tokyo. Maybe we'll talk about it. We'll see if I'll reach out to a variety of different locations and see if like maybe there's an Australian one or maybe we'll use maybe there's one in Germany or something like that.
Yeah, I just wondered how many stadiums don't get seen. Like I don't know how many stadiums there are in the game. So I wonder how many like stadiums we just never see. That would be kind of fun to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that there are well over a dozen. I think maybe close to 20 different stadiums if I again just by memory. And I know that there are a couple that are duplicate used by certain teams, but I know the league has, when I was applying for it, they needed for the team, they needed to make sure that only a certain number, I think it's maybe 2 uses per stadium, so that they get a nice diversification of stadiums. So that is definitely something I can take a look at and work with the deputy commissioner on. So Swole, who's Axis? What? I don't know who this Axis person is.
What are we on run so? Oh shit.
Michael Brown's like, we need to go to Hawaii. That might be that. We'll see. I think that might not be a bad case, especially during the winter times. We've already done Sacramento, we've done Boston, so might as well find a neutral third party somewhere out in the tropical region. I like that. All right, Minnesota. I don't know. It'll be a snow game, which we're heavily planning on having 1 to 3 of them, ideally in this coming next season, season 20. So cool. Well, I appreciate. Any other questions? Anybody else have any questions, or we can answer some of the questions while we're drinking in After Dark, if we would like as well.
Well,
All
some
right.
of us will be drinking. Some of us
Yeah.
has to be responsible adults come 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
And it's late for you too. Like, oh gosh, 10:30.
Yeah, it's getting close to 10:30 now.
Well,
And last time we did this, we kept going till 2 in the morning.
wow. Anyways, so let's see. If anybody wants to join us, head on over to Minor League Fights and Insights Discord. Daniel, would you be willing to put that in the chat? Join us in the general voice channel. So what we're gonna do is for After Dark, we're going to stop and say cut for this regular show, and then we'll start back up in literally seconds after that with a new stream. So please join that if you as soon as that pops up, and you can join us. We'll hop over into the general chat, and you guys can hop on. We'll voice chat it up and have a little bit of fun and then hang out with each other. Sound all right? Okay. Well, we'll see you guys in a minute or two. All right. We'll go like that. Music.
No music. You
No,
don't
okay.
get music.
All right. We're going to end the stream. See you on the flip side.